So now let us see a few more question and answer in RDBMS. What are database files? What are control files? What are log files? And how many of these files should a database have at least and why? So the answer here would be, let us take a database file, control file and log files one by one. Database file, it holds the actual data and are typically the largest in size. Depending upon their size, their tables, and of course the other objects of all the user accounts can go in one database files, but that's not an ideal situation because it does not make the database structure very flexible for controlling the access to storage for different users. Putting the database on different disk drives and backing up and restoring this part of the database. You must have at least one database file, but usually more than one files are used. In terms of accessing and using the data in the table and other objects, the number or the location of the file is actually immaterial. So the database files are fixed in size. They never go bigger than a particular size at which they were created. These are database files. Now we come to control files. The control files and redo logs, they support the rest of the architecture. Database file hold the data. Control files and redo logs, they support the rest of the architecture. So any database must have at least one control file. Although you typically have more than one to guard against any loss. So the control file records the name of the database, the date and time it was created, the location of the database, and the redo logs. Redo is when certain failure occurred, then redo undo is done. And the synchronization information to ensure that all three sets of file are always in step. So every time you add a new database or redo log file to the database, the information is recorded in the control files. So as we suggested, one more thing, that is the redo logs along with the control files. These log files are nothing but the redo logs only. So any database must have at least two redo logs. These are the journals for the database. So the redo log, they record all changes to the user objects or system objects. So if any type of failure happens or occurs, the changes recorded in the redo logs can be used to bring the database back to a consistent state without losing any commitment or committed transaction. So in the case of non-data loss failure, say a database, for example, Oracle can apply the information in the redo logs automatically without the intervention of the database administrator. So the redo log files are fixed in size and they never grow dynamically from the size at which they were created. Now the next is, what is ROW ID? Is it row ID? This row ID is a unique database-wide physical address for every row on every table. So if you are talking about a table, you have rows and columns. So the particular row has certain row ID. This is unique to database-wide physical address. So once assigned, when the row is first inserted into the database, it never changes until the row is deleted or the table is dropped. So this row ID, this consists of three components, and we are specifically taking Oracle. This is the best database we have. So row ID consists of three components, the combination of which uniquely identifies the actual physical storage location of the row. Oracle database file number, which contains the block with the rows. Oracle block address, which contains the row, and the row within the block, because each block can hold many rows, multiple rows. So the row ID is used internally in indexes also as a quick means of retrieving rows with a particular key value. And application developers, they also use it in SQL statements as a quick way to access the row once they know the row ID or row identification. What is Oracle block? Can two Oracle blocks have the same address? Oracle formats the database file into number of Oracle blocks when they are first created, making it easier for the RDBMS software to manage the files and easier to read data into the memory areas. So the block size should be multiple of the operating system block size, say for example 512 KB. So regardless of the block size, the entire block is not available for holding the data. So Oracle takes up some space to manage the contents of the block, and this block header has a minimum size, but it can grow, it can extend. These Oracle blocks are the smallest unit of storage, and increasing the Oracle block size can improve the performance, but it should be done only when the database is first created. So each Oracle block is numbered sequentially for each database file starting at 1. And two blocks can have same block address if they are in different database files. Next is, what is database trigger? What is a database trigger? See, it can be in PLSQL or any block, because we are talking about Oracle, so let us take PLSQL. So a database trigger is a PLSQL block that can be defined to automatically execute for any insert, update, or delete statement against a table. The trigger can be defined to execute once for the entire statements or once for every row that is inserted, updated, or deleted. So for any one table, there are 12 events for which you can define the database triggers. So the database trigger can call, say, database procedure that are also written in your PLSQL. Next is name two utilities that Oracle provides. And what are the use of backup and recovery? Along with the RDBMS software, Oracle provides two utilities that you can use to backup and restore the database. And these are export. These utilities are export and import. So the export utility dumps the definition and data for the specified part of the database to an operating system binary file, while the import utility reads the file produced by an export, recreates the definitions of the objects, and then inserts the data. So if export and import, they are used as a means of backing up and recovering the database. All the changes made to the database cannot be recovered since the export was performed. So the best you can do is to recover the database at the time when the export was last performed. What are stored procedures and what are the advantages of using them? Stored procedures, these are database objects that perform a user-defined operation. A stored procedure can have a set of, say, compound SQL statements. These are just statements of SQL. A stored procedure executes the SQL commands and returns the result to the client. And stored procedures are used to reduce the network traffic. Okay. How are exceptions handled in PLSQL, and give some of the internal exceptions name? PLSQL exception handling is a mechanism for dealing with runtime errors encountered during procedure execution. So use of this mechanism enables execution to continue if the error is not severe enough to cause certain procedure termination. The exception handler must be defined within the subprogram specifications. So errors cause the program to raise an exception with a transfer of control to the exception handler block. After the exception handler executes, the control returned to the block in which the handler was defined. So if there are no more executable statement in the block, control it returns to the caller. There are user-defined exceptions also, like PLSQL enable the user to define his own exception handlers in the declarations area of subprogram specification. User accomplishes this by renaming an exception like this. You have an exception, some failure. So in this case, the exception name is OT failure, and the code associated with this handler is written in the exception specification area like this. Exception when OT failure, then some status code. This is given some code, out message is out message. These are the exceptions. So you can also have other way. This is just an example. If you want to really read it, just pause it and read it. There are certain exceptions of user defined. There are system defined exceptions also. So exceptions internal to PLSQL, they are raised automatically upon error. So no data found is a system defined exception. So this table which you show, which I've showed here, this gives a complete list of the internal exceptions. These are say all these Oracle error have certain name, like invalid cursor has Ora 010001 and likewise. Does PLSQL support overloading? Explain. The concept of overloading in PLSQL relate to the idea that you can define procedures and functions with the same name. So PLSQL does not look only at the reference name, however, to resolve a procedure or function call. It doesn't do that. So the count and the data types of the former parameters, these are also considered. So PLSQL also attempts to resolve any procedure or function calls in a locally defined package before looking at the globally defined package or some internal functions. And just to ensure further calling the procedure a proper procedure, you can use the dot notation. So it supports the overloading, and prefacing a procedure or function name with the package name fully qualifies any procedure or function difference. Table derived from read, ERD, entity relationship diagram. So table derived from the ERD, what are the options you can give? The answer is they are always in one element. Tables which are derived from entity relationship diagram, they are always in first normal form. Spurious tuples may occur due to what? Spurious tuples. The answer is, what happens? These theta joins. These are the joins made on keys that are not primary keys. So we'll take the answer as C. So let me just rephrase it for you or rechange. This is not E, this is C. So we take the answer as C, this one. Since the spurious triples can occur from bad normalization and updating tables from that, but theta joints, these are joints made on keys that are not primary keys. Okay. This ABC is a set of attributes. The functional dependency is like this. Can you tell me what is the answer? This is in 1 and F. Why? Since if you take the closure of AC, that will be ABC. Here AC is the primary key. Since D is the functional dependency which is given, where neither C is a key nor B is a prime attribute, thus this is not in say 3NF. But B is not functionally dependent on key AC. This one, thus it is not in 2NF. So these given functional dependency, they are in 1NF. First normal form. In mapping ERD to DFD, entity relationship to data flow diagram, these are the options. Can you guess the answer? The answer is entities in ARD should correspond to an existing entity stored in DFD. So this is the correct answer. Select north customer from customer details where region is equal to N ordered by this customer union. Select east customer from customer details where region equal to E ordered by customer. So what exactly this select from clause gives you? The answer is it will give you error. Why? Because the order by clause, since order by clause cannot be used in the unions, you cannot use them in unions. So this is the error that you'll get. What is a storage manager? Storage manager is a program module that provides the interface between your lower level data stored in the database, application programs, and the queries submitted to the system. So it is a module that provides interface between low level data stored in the database and the application programs. You have application programs here, and the queries you perform. What is buffer manager? Again, this buffer manager is responsible for fetching data from the disk storage into main memory and deciding what data to be cached or to be cached in the memory. What is transaction manager? Transaction manager ensures that the database remains in the consistent state even if some system failures or concurrent transaction execution proceeds without the conflicting. So it takes care of all the transactions which are taking place and also ensuring that the system remains in the consistent state. What is file manager? File manager is a program module which manages the allocation of space on the disk storage and the data structure used to represent the information stored on the disk. What is authorization and integrity manager? It is a program module which tests for the satisfaction of integrity constraint and checks the authority of user to access data. Authority check and integrity check. Integrity constraint check. What are standalone procedures? Procedures that are not part of a package are known as standalone because they are independent or they are independently defined. For example, a standalone procedure is one which is written in, say, SQL forms application. So these types of forms or procedures, they are not available for reference from other Oracle tools. Another limitation of standalone procedure is that they are compiled at runtime, which actually slows the execution time. What are cursors? Give different types of cursors. PLSQL uses cursor for all database information accesses statement. So the language support, there are two types of cursors, implicit and explicit. So, you have statements. So you start with the cursor. That's C. You define a cursor, and that cursor gives you the result. What is cold backup and hot backup? Let us talk about the Oracle. Cold backup means it is copying the 3 set of files, data, redo, and control when the instance is shut down. This is a straight file copy, usually from the disk directly to the tape. So you must shut down the instance to guarantee a consistent copy. So if a cold backup is performed, the only option available in the event of data file loss is restoring all the file from the latest backup. And all work performed in the database since the last backup is lost. What about hot backup? Some sites, like airline reservation, cannot shut down the database while making a backup copy of the file. So the cold backup is not an option here. So different means of backing up database must be used to hot backup. That is, we issue a SQL command to indicate to Oracle on a tablespace by tablespace basis, and the files in the tablespace are to be backed up. So the user can continue to make full use of the files, including making changes to the data. Once the user has indicated that she or he wants to back up the tablespace file, He or she can use the operating system to copy those files to the desired backup destination. So the database must be running in the archive log mode for the hard backup option. So if a data loss occur, the lost database file cannot be restored using the hard backup, and the online and offline review logs created since the backup was done. The database is restored to the most consistent state without any loss of committed transactions. How can you find the minimum key of relation schema? Minimum key is one which can identify each tuple of the given relation schema uniquely. So for finding the minimal key, it is required to find the closure. That is the plus a plus a. Closure that is used, that is the set of all attributes that are dependent on any given set of attributes under the given set of functional dependency. So for that, if you want to compute the closure, say closure of x, if you are provided with the function dependency, so set x to x plus, set x plus to old x plus, and for any function dependency of type y to z, which is in f, if y belongs to x plus, then you say that z also belongs to x plus, and you just repeat these steps. We also have one more algorithm, just to determine the minimal k for relation schema R, given sets of function dependency f. Set k to R, that is to make k a set of all attributes of R. For each attribute of a in k, compute k minus a closure with respect to f. And if k minus a closure plus is equal to R, then just set k minus a closure to k. What do you understand by dependency preservation? Given a relation R and a set of function dependency f, dependency preservation states that the closure of the union of the projection of f on each decomposed relation Ri is equal to the closure of f. For example, see, this is the projection of R1 on f till projection of R I1 to f. This is closure. This is equal to f plus. So if decomposition is not dependency preserving, then some dependency may be lost in the decomposition. What is meant by the proactive, retroactive, and simultaneous update? Proactive update is the updates that are applied to database before it becomes effective in real world. Retroactive is the update that are applied to the database after it becomes effective in real world. And simultaneous update is those updates that are applied to the database at the same time when it becomes effective to the real world. What are the different types of join operations? Equijoin. This is the most common type of join, which involves only equality comparisons. But the disadvantage in this type of join is there are certain duplication also. So we have seen a few more questions on RDBMS. This is just for revision purpose, because the details are not here. You really need to go to the book and learn very carefully. Thank you so much.